Trump's immigration policy is at record lows in public support. A new poll from CNN revealed that only 42% of Americans approve of Trump's immigration policy, while 58% disapprove. Compare that to March, when 51% of Americans approved of his immigration policy and only 48% disapproved. The poll also found that 55% of Americans feel that Trump is going too far in deporting immigrants living in the country illegally. Another poll from Gallup found that a record 79% of Americans think immigration is good for the country. Worth noting is that the percentage of Republicans who feel immigration is good for the country jumped from 39% last year to 64% this year. Republicans also had the biggest upward shift in their support for providing undocumented immigrants a pathway to citizenship, with a 13% increase over the last year. The poll also found that the percentage of Americans wanting the rate of immigration to slow down dropped from 55% to 30% since last year, and that support for deporting all immigrants living in the country illegally dropped from 47% to 38%. A year ago, when Trump's presidential campaign was in full swing, he painted the immigration policy under the Biden administration as a lawless open borders policy that was leading to murders, rapes, low wages, and even high rents. Even though Biden had actually deported more people than Obama or Trump's first term, Trump succeeded in creating the perception that Biden was somehow weak on immigration. Democrats and Republicans competed over who was tougher on immigration in 2024, and anti-immigrant sentiments spiked. Immigration became one of the top issues in the election, and polls after the election showed that Americans saw immigration enforcement as a top issue for the incoming administration. But the reality of the Gestapo-like kidnappings in broad daylight, the raids in workplaces against people just trying to make an honest living, attempting to deport legal residents for criticizing Israel, and the way that completely innocent people were snatched up and taken to foreign countries clearly didn't land with people the way they thought it would. Trump always pitched his deportation policy as a way of helping American workers, that immigrants were draining America's economic prosperity and deporting them would help us. Then Trump took office, where he would go on to install the wealthiest cabinet in presidential history, pass a $4.5 trillion tax cut that overwhelmingly benefited the top 1%, and then paid for those tax cuts by making massive cuts to Medicaid and food stamps, which ironically will disproportionately affect his voter base, since he won the majority of low-income voters and voters reliant on government assistance like Medicaid and food stamps. In hindsight, it's really no surprise that the billionaire-run administration scapegoated poor immigrants for our country's problems. They always blame the poor, and never themselves. This is really no different.